Well, welcome in to My Dogs Are Barking on MPW Digital. My name is Landon. And man, so glad for you to join us on this Thursday edition of the show. We have a Friday special tomorrow that will be coming out, which is really, really special as we talk with Alden Thornhill about the 2025 Starkville Derby, the dots and dash and everything else going on in the Cotton District on May 3rd. Really a big deal for the city of Starkville and something that I'm excited about. So that episode will come out tomorrow. But today, we got a lot of good stuff talking about the portal giving this time to Mississippi State in their recent commitment from Quincy Ballard, the center, joining the Mississippi State Bulldogs. We'll talk about what that means, kind of what I think his role will be. And then later on the show, we will listen in from Jeff Lebby and hear his thoughts after they wrapped up, I believe it was their 10th practice. And so we'll also give some thoughts as to some of the things we saw out there during practice. And, I mentioned on the show on Monday, but I want to thank everyone so much for listening to the show. We're credentialed to cover Mississippi State in person and cover spring practices. And, those things are very special. And we don't take that lightly, the ability to be able to do that. And so we thank you guys so much for listening to the show and giving us a platform to do that on. So a lot of good stuff to cover. But before we get to all those wonderful things, and I do want to apologize for those watching on YouTube, camera's giving us some issues. So we got this angle we're going to work on today. But before we get started, I want to let you know that the show is brought to you in part by Arpa's Coffee Bar there in the Cotton District, there in Starkville. Jose and his team are wonderful people, and it's a great, great spot. If you're looking for caffeine, if you're looking for food or drinks, man, Arpa's is the spot to go. It's a Venezuelan shop. So you got Venezuelan coffee, Venezuelan dishes. It's unique. Look, there's a lot of coffee shops in Starkville, and there's some good ones there. But you want something unique, go to Arpa's, because they also have some great food. And here's the deal. We'll save you some money, 15% off every single time you go to Arpa's. You can't beat that. Let them know you want that 15% off discount for being a My Dogs Are Barking listener, and they will grant it to you. So that is very, very important. Make sure you do that. And congratulations to Lane Van Vekoven for winning the 2025 My Dogs Are Barking Arpa's Bracket Challenge. He won a $25 gift card to Arpa's. Can't beat that. So shout out to Lane for getting that done. Sorry, need some more caffeine, pick me up. But look, all these players going into the portal, one of the players was Keyshawn Murphy from Mississippi State, and kind of testing out the waters to see, what it is. Probably trying to kind of renegotiate some of his NIL, and the can't really blame him. The fellow's trying to get rich, but what does it mean to be rich? Maybe it's less about reaching a magic number, more about discovering the magic in life. Skip Langley is your Batesville, Mississippi, Edward Jones financial advisor, summer clients in the area and across the state. Count on him for financial strategies that can help you support a life you love. Because the key to being rich is knowing what counts. So contact Skip today at 662-563-9843. Together, you can find your rich. Edward Jones, member SIPC. So we mentioned Keyshawn Murphy hops in the portal. That's the bad news for Mississippi State. Really had a very good year for the Bulldogs. Kind of a breakout year. Really, he was the guy kind of off the bench that did really well for the Bulldogs. And if you'll remember, the past 2 seasons he's gone into the portal and has come back each time and really saw his role expand in a major way this season, but decides to go into the portal. And that's the unfortunate part for many folks. But the thing is, he still has time to come out. Alabama is a team that's been contacting him. I'm interested to see how he would fit, because Alabama is such a 3-point shooting team, and that's just not really a part of his game that's super strong. He can hit a three, but not his strong suits. I'm interested to see what happens there. But again, we'll cover that in a we'll stay tuned on how that is. I really want to get to the portal addition from Mississippi State, and that is Quincy Ballard, the center from Wichita State. He played at Florida State before then. And this is the thing that Mississippi State was missing all season, in my opinion, and that was a big man down low. This guy's a lot bigger than Michael Nwoko is, from a size standpoint, but also just the way he plays. So 6'11", but he averaged close to a double-double for the Shockers, 10 points, about 9.2 rebounds per game. Started all 33 games for Wichita State. And here's what's amazing. He set the single season program record for dunks. So he finishes at the rim. And here's what I mean by that. his field goal percentage was an incredible 75% from the field. Now, here's what's amazing about that. In the history of the NCAA, or in particular, since 1953, he is one of 4 players that has had that high of a field goal percentage on a minimal, certain amount of shots. Really, really efficient around the basket, and obviously a guy that can get the rebound. I love this from Mississippi State, and it's a part of state. Part of the reason I think State did not succeed is, take the shooting out of it, the missed shots, they weren't getting the rebounds from it. So they're out rebounded several times and had to rely on guys like Cam Matthews as a the 3 position to come up and grab the ball. And it's just not the best case scenario. You needed a big guy, and State did not have that. For all the things that Michael Nwoko did, he was not a big rebounder. Didn't play a lot. This is a guy that can play a good bit during the season, and so I'm really excited to see what this adds. I think so. You have the center position kind of squared away, because here's the other part of that. T. Bartlett, who's a 4-star guy, is a girthy kind of a big guy. Sorry for saying the word girth. That's unfortunate, but nothing you can do about it now. He's a big guy. And so, but he's a true freshman. So you don't have to rely on that. You have a guy that has 4 years worth of experience in Quincy Ballard to join Mississippi State. And then you have a young guy like T. Bartlett to come in and as a freshman can contribute. I mean, think about it. Michael Nwoko was a redshirt freshman. And so he got a lot of playing time this season. T. Bartlett can play, but he doesn't have to be a guy you rely on. And then on top of that, you have Jerrion Fleming as your 4 position. And I think what they wanted was to have Keyshawn Murphy starting the 4, Jamarion Fleming, who's the Mississippi Player of the Year, coming in to help him out as a backup. That's kind of your ideal situation, is Quincy starting, T. Bartlett backing him up, Keyshawn starting at the 4, and Jamarion backing him up. Now, we'll see what happens. We'll see where they go. I think State is probably done getting at the center position, but it could be wrong. So that takes care of that. We'll see what State has to do in terms of addressing that. They already addressed the point guard position as a backup point guard in Jabari McGee from UAB, a guy who averages 41% from 3, who shot 41% from 3, rather. Riley Kugel entered the portal. He's gone. He's going to UCF. Kanye Clary, who played 5 games for State, is going to Oklahoma State. And then, of course, Cam Matthews, Cledell Harris, and RJ Melendez graduated, and they're gone. So you're going to need a couple of guards, and you're going to need another forward or 2 to be able to kind of see what you want to do going forward. So excited to see where this goes. Excited to see kind of what the trajectory is for this team in the portal. We'll keep you updated on here. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will talk about the things we saw in practice from Mississippi State in person, and we'll finish by hearing Jeff Lebby in his press conference that he had after practice. So we'll be right back. Thank you so much for listening to My Dogs Are Barking. We'll be right back after these messages from MPW Digital. Well, welcome back to My Dogs Are Barking on MPW Digital. So we heard from Jeff Lebby after practice. We'll get to that full press conference here in just a little bit. But before we get there, one of the things I thought was really interesting that Jeff Lebby mentioned in terms of the quarterback position was all of the play from Blake Shapen thus far in the season and the conversations that they've had. As you know, I mean, Blake Shapen has had he's had a tough career in terms of injuries. He's been pretty consistent, but he's just gotten injured each year because of his play style. And Jeff Lebby mentioned that he and Blake Shapen have had many conversations regarding Shapen's play style in hopes that he can stay healthy for the entire season, because it's just been a while since he's been able to do that. And I thought that was interesting. In terms of the 3 quarterbacks, it seems like Blake Shapen will start, but I'm just going to tell you, Luke Kromenhoek, he's I think obviously Jeff Lebby loves what he's seen out of him, but some work to do. Kamario Taylor just looks the part of a quarterback. I mean, every part of him just looks like, man, he's what you want in a QB. And so I think it's interesting to see what this development will be for those guys. obviously Blake probably is going to end up starting. We'll see on the 19th what those things look like, but I'm really excited for people to look at Luke Kromenhoek and Kamario Taylor. They're so talented. And I know in a perfect world, you go, well, Kamario Taylor, he'll wait a couple years and then he'll be able to play. But like, where do quarterbacks do that nowadays? Like, where do quarterbacks stay as backups whenever they have so much talent and kind of projection going forward? I don't know, man. I don't know. And I know Jeff Lebby knows that. He brought in both of those guys, Kromenhoek and Kamario Taylor, because he wanted competition. And he mentioned that Blake Shapen's done a great job of being a leader to those guys. And so I'm interested to see what they do and then kind of where things go as the season progresses with those guys. But along with that, the offensive line, Jeff Lebby mentioned that when the portal opens here in a couple of days, that the offensive line is going to be where they're looking to add people. He also said the tight end position is another spot where he thinks that they'll add, which I thought was interesting. We already saw a couple of tight ends come in, but he thinks they can continue to add to that. And another thing, when you think about who the leading receiver for this team is going to be next season, I think there's a lot of positive things being talked about regarding Anthony Evans, the transfer from Georgia. A lot of talent. He's never been able to put it together in a very crowded room in Georgia. Along with some injuries. And so you're interested to see kind of where he goes, but people are very excited about him going forward. And obviously he was getting a lot of play in practice. The receiver room, there's not, you're not a ton of, big 6'4", 6'5" guys, but you seem to have a lot of speed. Brennan Thompson, the wide receiver from Oklahoma, has a ton of potential and a ton of speed for this team. I think you will see that. You don't have a Kelly Akakari, who's the big receiver, but you do have some experience with Jordan Mosley, and then you have a lot of speed. And so I'm interested to see where this team goes from that perspective. And lastly, one of the things we saw is Davon Booth. Looks like he's lost some weight and added some speed this offseason. And he's a guy who has a lot of experience. I love the fact that they're able to put him alongside Fluff Bothwell. And then, having that as a 1-2 punch. And then true freshman Colin Wilson, Coach Lebby said, has made a big jump as well. So we'll see on the 19th. And look, I know spring games aren't the most exciting things in the world, but I'm really excited to see what this team looks like going into the spring and kind of what the overall look is to them. Because there's a lot of turnover. There's a lot of jerseys and numbers that you go, man, who is that? But very excited to see what this team ends up being. In the 19th, we'll get a closer look. So we'll end here by listening to or watching Jeff Lebby's press conference. Remember to tune in tomorrow as we learn more about the 2025 Starkville Derby there in the Cotton District. It raises money for a good cause, and it's just a lot of fun, man. So listen to that tomorrow for the My Dogs Are Barking Extra that happens on Friday. So we'll leave you here, and we'll leave you in the hands of head coach of Mississippi State, Jeff Lebby. Thanks you guys so much for listening to My Dogs Are Barking on MPW Digital.
All MPW Digital podcasts are brought to you by our friends at Parish Brewing Company, located in the heart of Cajun country in Broussard, Louisiana. Parish Brewing Company's simple goal is to make awesome craft brewed beer, and they do it remarkably well. The doctor is introducing their new go-to IPA, Dr. Juice. It's a highly crushable juice bomb, dry hopped with a blend of their favorite hand-selected hops from the Yakima Valley in Washington. Dr. Juice's drinkability is sneaky good, considering it clocks in at 6% ABV. The pour glows a rich cantaloupe hue with a thick frosted haze, soft mouthfeel, an aroma and taste that's full of passion fruit, papaya, and blood orange, making it drink like a glass of freshly squeezed juice. They also have Ghost in the Machine. It's a double IPA brewed with obscene quantities of hand-selected Citra hops from Yakima Valley. Expect pungent grapefruit flavors and aromas, tropical fruit, less harsh bitterness than most IPAs. Again, it's Parish Brewing Company. Wherever you get your beer, check out Parish. Make sure that you look for them, because any beer that you get from Parish is going to be absolutely outstanding. Thank you from MPW Digital. We're brought to you by Easy Hemp Company. Easy is a hemp-infused sparkling water. It's a guilt-free alcohol alternative, a natural way to relax and unwind. It's all natural. Made with real fruit, no added sugar, low calories, gluten-free. One 12-ounce can of Easy has 3 milligrams of THC. With Easy, it's easy to avoid the gummy scare and control your experience. So change the can, not the ritual. It's easy. Visit EasyHempCo.com to view the Easy Finder to find Easy near you. Easy is Farm Bill compliant with hemp derived from THC, CBD extracts. Easy is for people 21 and older. Enjoy responsibly.
Well, just take us through the Saturday scrimmage.
Yeah, there was. I feel like I'm on repeat a little bit, but there was a bunch of back and forth. Again, offensively, made some really explosive plays. And then defensively, we created some turnovers and really situationally had a really good scrimmage. So the messaging has continued to be the same. Offensively, we've got to find ways to sustain with all three groups. And then defensively, find a way to keep the ball in front of us at times, And that's going to be the stress, regardless of who's out there. The expectation is to be able to execute. And so seeing a lot of good things from a lot of guys, got to continue to get better as we go finish this thing out.
You brought in Coach Rhodes and Coach McIntyre in the offseason. How have you seen them maybe impact what you guys are doing these days?
Yeah, they've just got so much experience. Obviously, as head coaches, as defensive coordinators, as position coaches. So they do. They've got great insight. I think they've got incredible perspective. And they've helped in a great way. They've been eager all day, every day, man, just to help and trying to create the best version of our football team as we possibly can. And so that's been it's been awesome having them here.
You have so many new faces, but you also have a lot of freshmen out there, and it's a little bit different for them because they're getting used to college football for the first time. What's really stood out about some of those guys? What's been the biggest point of emphasis for them in the first few weeks of spring practice?
Yeah, I've tried to continue to talk to those guys about not having any type of freshman lull. They were incredibly excited day one for spring ball. They were excited for day one of winter workouts. Now that we're into it a little bit, making sure that there's not this lull and their energy and their attitude matches what it was on day one. Day one excitement should carry us all the way through, and that's been the biggest thing for them as we've gotten into it and been a little bit of a grind for them.
I know you spend a lot of time, obviously, with Camario, but is there some other guys that have really impressed you so far, that freshman group?
Yeah, we've got really a pretty good group. You look at it offensively, Grayson's had a good spring and a guy that's got a chance to be a really good player for us and do some things in the slot. Colin Wilson's had a really good spring. Those two guys, I think, are ahead of where most guys are as true freshmen as they've come into it, which, again, has been really good to see. And then on the defensive side, Tyler's done a good job, continued to grow inside the scheme, understand what the expectation is. Just an incredible athlete who, again, got a chance to be a great player and excited about where he's at and where he's going.
With the portal opening next week, you mentioned wanting to add an offensive line, but are there any other positions you could see targeting?
Yeah, I think offensive line will be priority one. Tight end, I think, got a chance to be in the fold as well. So as we continue to move through that, those pieces will be important for us to be able to go add.
You had to rebuild a lot of the wide receivers room again after last year. So any of the guys who have really stood out to you here this spring, or how do you see that group coming along overall?
Yeah, I talked about it a little bit last week, but I'm proud of that group. They've worked incredibly hard. They've practiced really hard. They've been serious about being great teammates. Talked about how unselfish of a group it is. And when you look up and whether it's Brennan and Ant, J-Mo, Aiden, Ricky Johnson, again, Glove, Marcus Allen, these guys have practiced in a really good way. So I'm excited about the depth, and I'm excited about how serious they are about being good. And that's been a fun group to be around, fun group to coach.
We talked to a couple of defensive guys last week, and they talked about being intentional about applying pressure and getting in the backfield. Just talk about what you see from that side of the ball, and do you think that they're getting that accomplished?
Yeah, we've talked a ton about it. That was something that had to be a huge step for us in the right direction, both sides of the ball. Defensively, we've got to find ways to create negative plays and get sacks. You have to. And then offensively, it's the exact same on the other side of the coin. So that's been a stress for us this spring. I see both sides of the ball fighting to improve that situationally. And I think we've done a nice job defensively of finding ways to create pressure, not always having to blitz to create it. Have some pass rushers that can go get it done, which has been good to see.
I think along those lines too, how is this spring different than last? When you look out, you got to call plays against the front. It looks more like what you expected to look like in the Southeastern Conference.
Yeah, we're getting better. Our roster is in a better place today than it was a year ago, and it's not that part of it's not close. So that has been really good. Again, the thing that has been most promising to me is that we've been able to practice in a way that we've needed to be able to develop the roster. So again, you look at it, 150 plays in this past Saturday scrimmage, really a few more than that. Same thing the Saturday before. We were nowhere close to that last spring. And so again, it's because we have the bodies that can go practice. And we're practicing in a better way when we're not live because there's better athletes and we understand what the expectation is. So we've gotten better. We've got to get a lot better here over the next week and a half to be where we want to be as we finish the spring out.
I know Calvin Dinkins has been kind of working back from an injury. I think he's back out there. What have you seen from him and his work to get back to where he is, and how important is he to get back in the mix and be healthy?
Yeah, it's really important, and for Dink, man, just hopeful that he can go have the year that we think he's capable of having. And for him being able to stay on the field, that's first and foremost. So we've been really slow with him. He's worked his butt off to get himself back to a really good place. We won't rush that here over the next, 9 or 10 days, but proud of how he's worked and the teammate that he's been up until this point.
With Luke and Kamario being you guys in the quarterback room, what is Blake's role as leader?
Yeah, a guy that needs to set the expectation and the tone for the room every single day so that those guys understand we're living and dying on every single snap, every single minute of every single meeting, and that's how we have to prepare. And so Blake's done a really good job of that. Those guys have taken to that. The room is in a great place right now. I could not be more excited about those three guys and where we're at. We got a ton of work to do to get better, all three of them. But we got talented guys in that room. That's big.
With Blake, he's had this history of injuries, and last year had the shoulder injury. I think the different injuries.
Yeah.
Is there a conversation with him about approaching the game differently, or you let him play his style? What's the balance there?
There's been a lot of conversation. Don't take unnecessary hits. Again, I've said it forever, but one of the things you love about Blake the most is how he plays the game. The kid will go die for you. Well, I want to make sure that he's playing every snap the entire year. And so finding ways to make sure that he is healthy, what we call dive out of danger, while taking care of the football and understanding situational football will be huge for him. He's going to always have his edge, but him being smart with the ball in his hands in the open field will be important.
So related to that, are you pleased that with the greater numbers you have, you're able to run more snaps, and still it looks like you've come through the spring so far with very little damage as far as injuries go?
Thank you. We need that to finish. We need to finish that way, but again, I think we're practicing in a better way because, again, we've got better bodies that we've needed to be able to give us a chance to practice the way we need to practice.
Without Devon back, obviously the talent speaks for itself, but just off the field as a leader and a teammate, what does he kind of add in that role as well?
Yeah, to me, a guy that's lived it, really good for guys like Fluff and Colin who have gotten here mid-year, creating some expectation for them in the room to understand, what it's going to be like to be a running back here and play for Coach Tuck. I think, those guys have done a really good job. Fluff, Colin, both those guys have taken to Vaughn and who he is as a guy that's returning after having a really good year.
How do you evaluate the cornerback so far this spring? Is that a position you feel like you might want to upgrade in the spring corner?
Yeah, Kelly's had a really good spring. Excited about the step that he's taken in the right direction. And then we do, I think we've got some quality depth there, whether it's Jet, Diego, Javen, Trey Wright. We've got a lot of guys at that position that have competed in a really good way. Elijah's had a really nice spring and done some good things. We'll take the right one if need be, but I feel really good about where that room is today as long as we continue to develop and grow up until, week one.
What are your early impressions of Coach Loadhold in the offensive line?
Yeah, again, there's such great familiarity with me and him. I knew what he was going to bring to the table, his toughness, his attitude, the way he coaches and what he demands from those guys every single day. It's been great to see. And so we wanted that, we needed that. Phil's done a great job with those guys, continuing to develop the mindset as much as anything.